We're building your AI search strategy beyond SEO. That's the talk of the title of the session today. A little bit about me and sort of I see some familiar faces already. Thank you all for tuning in, those who know me and those who don't. But a little bit about me. I'm a growth engineer, started in Microsoft a long time ago, been in the search space for quite some time. I taught actually the pioneering and first Reforge course on the topic and first Maven course on the topic as well. And I've been, I taught over 50,000 marketers on AI search and AEO. I know it probably feels like a lot of people, but we've been actually teaching about this for over a year and a half now. And also founded No Good, which is a growth marketing studio based in New York. Support many scale-ups and startups in the space. I'm not going to drop logos on you, but I'm sure you've heard some of them. But also, more importantly, built and founded Goody, a full-stack AEO platforms, end-to-end monitor, analyze, optimize, and even attribute within our platform, and actively used by many leading brands in the space. So, and we know a thing or two about search, and this is why it's to me it's one of the most exciting topics. I feel like throughout my career, I've never been as excited as I am today. So according to SEMrush, which we understand why they will work on this study, by 2028, 75% of revenue will be driven by LLMs. I think it might be a little bit biased and maybe drumming business here. But I think we've seen other studies by Gartner saying it's 50 plus, but the lowest number I've seen is 50% here in terms of predictions. I think we've talked about SEO for quite some time. Everyone here is probably an expert in SEO, but I think we're moving into AEO, where from clicks to visibility, from link building to brand reputation, and sort of earned sources and social management overall, from organic to conversions, from E to Heat, from algorithm to humans and agents, from overall authority to topical authorities, from keywords to prompts and topics. That's sort of like a quick way to summarize the change. And we're going to dive deeper throughout the talk. But I think this is also sort of another breakdown of how we like sort of like the AEO landscape versus SEO. I don't want to spend too much time on this. They told me I got 30 minutes. I have a lot more exciting slides for you all. Who do you think is the leading platform in AI search today? Just curious to hear if, just let me open up the chat here and see what people are saying. Who do you all think is leading? Like Gemini, ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok, Gemini by far. Okay. Tell me, when you say Gemini, do you mean AI overview, AI mode, or just Gemini, vanilla Gemini? It looks like Elon is sending us a bunch of people to say Grok here. Gemini over just Google search. All right. Cool. I see ChatGPT a lot. Looks like what I see here is ChatGPT followed by Gemini, Perplexity. I mean, it's hard to do any math on what I'm seeing here. But all right. So it looks like we don't have a consensus on one. So here are the numbers. These are platforms by active users. This is after looking in across all of the earning calls, public reports, third-party trackers, and estimates. We actually published something about it earlier last week. And you can see here AI overview, which is powered by Gemini. So those who said Gemini are technically right. It's Gemini, but the pipeline is different. The model is Gemini, but the pipeline is different. That applies for AI overview, AI mode, and Gemini, the app itself. So we're looking at 2 billion sort of active users for AI overview, and then followed by Meta AI. How many people here use Meta AI? I feel like Meta AI is just capitalizing on the massive distribution advantage that they have. So and yes, I love someone just said Meta. I think Krish is saying Meta has AI. Surprisingly, it's the second players here. Obviously, like, how we define active user is also can be interesting. I think most platforms have been quite vague and intentionally actually and strategically vague about their numbers, which is why it's hard to really collect this data. But Meta comes second, according to the last earning report, with 1 billion monthly active users, followed by ChatGPT, 700 billion weekly active users. So actually, ChatGPT, if we have to like predict the monthly active, it's likely as high, if not higher than Meta. And then followed by Gemini, AI mode. So the Google AI search ecosystem it accounts for about more than 57% of the total sort of market here in terms of like pure users. So yes, it looks like, those who thought ChatGPT is the leading player, VC Twitter and everything in between, apparently it's not in terms of number of active users. So that's one, right? But it's also important that sort of like we cross-reference this data with what we're seeing in our end as marketers. So we analyzed at Goody, we analyzed 2.8 million AI search referral sessions across 41 brands. And actually, this is an ongoing study. So soon we'll release an updated version across 100 plus websites that we're actively working on. You can see here which AI search platform is sending the most traffic. And ChatGPT is dominating with 89%, nearly 90%, followed by Microsoft Copilot, Perplexity, Gemini, Claude, Grok, DeepSeek, Hugging Face, and so on. So a very important sort of piece of information here is that Google does not actually disaggregate the data of AI Overview, Gemini, and AI Mode on GA4 or Search Console yet. But if you look at Google overall in terms of referral traffic and search traffic, it's still leading by 58% of total referral traffic. So Google remains the biggest driver of traffic on the internet today, but we don't have, when it comes to sort of doubling down just on AI search and breaking out this data, we don't have this number yet. I think it's intentional. Hopefully Google is, I don't know why Google is holding this data so closely, but hopefully we'll have this data relatively soon. But for now, in terms of actual impact on your website, ChatGPT remains a dominant player until we have some data on AI overview on AI mode. I've seen some people have like some data based on some sort of scraping or post-conversion surveys. I just didn't see the data is trusted enough to bring here. We did some post-conversion surveys. Most people don't even know most users don't know the difference of, an AI mode or AI overview, or did I click on the link from AI overview and others? So it's really hard to sort of break that down in a post-conversion survey. But post-conversion surveys actually echoes what we see here in terms of referrals. ChatGPT is the dominant player in post-conversion surveys. By post-conversion surveys, I mean asking everyone to come to your website and saying, how did you find out about us? And a lot of people would say ChatGPT. Microsoft Copilot and Perplexity are actually bunching above their weight, and it's quite impressive what they're able to do in terms of traffic share here. So that's the lay of the land. That's AI search marketing, looking at two different data points here. I think it's a very important sort of distinction and sort of knowing the lay of the land. So what to take away from this? I would actually prioritize the AI search ecosystem of Google above any other players for now. But I would definitely not ignore ChatGPT given the dominant sort of nature in terms of referral traffic that we see here. Another important point here is that AI search traffic, and particularly ChatGPT, converts at 2.1 x better than that of traditional search. So you can see the data here. This is an analysis that we've done. You can see sort of like the footnote, 117,000 inbound leads across different websites over 51 days. We looked at the essentially the downstream effect and impact of a ChatGPT source leads versus other sources, or Perplexity source lead versus other sources, to really get a sense of sort of where quality traffic is coming from. So it looks like the zero-click experience is very apparent here, is that not only people trust ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Gemini more, but it looks like they already done the research, done the analysis, and they've come to websites prepared to take an action. So your website is more of like a transactional destination for them rather than a place where they do research, evaluate, and more or less the funnel has collapsed, and we're now seeing more and more sort of the early stage of discovery and research are happening within these sort of platforms and less on our websites. And that's sort of obviously the zero-click nature here of this, and that's apparent in the numbers that we're presenting here. We've seen some of other reports saying it's 4.4. I believe SEMrush came out with that. This is our data, and it wasn't as 4x. Actually, more recently, I've seen some data saying it's lower. This is sort of, can see the footnote, and we always have the data ready and available for people to check out. So in terms, Adobe also had an interesting report on AI conversions. You can see here in green, AI conversions, Adobe Analytics in Feb 2025. It's crazy. Like I feel like February is a very different time than September. It's crazy that we're saying this, but this data might feel a bit outdated. I think the number is likely higher at this point. So the evolution of search, like we've moved from obviously conventional search engine to answer engines and action engines. Another reason why I like to use it AEO, because I feel like it applies to both answer engine and action engines. The answer engines are like the likes of AI Overview, Perplexity, essentially like sort of you ask questions, get summarized for you and synthesized based on sort of the prompt. Action engines are sort of the shopping assistant, the Manos, the operator, the like the any like sort of like deep search, pro search. All of these are action engines where they're pulling data from a bunch of websites, retrieval sources, synthesizing for you and bringing back. That's sort of agentic behavior, and that's why it's called action engines. And I think we will see this sort of as the agentic web sort of gets built around us. This is something that we have to account for as in the world of AEO, and not just so much sort of like just the answer itself, because I think actions are driven by answers and data that are being retrieved here. This is sort of like the evolution also in terms of the technology. You can see sort of like the search pipeline and sort of like as the model evolved. And I'm happy to spend a little bit more time on this, but just for the interest of time, I can go into the next slides. I have another important study which actually just about to release. But before I start, what are the factors that are impacting brand visibility on LLMs and AI search the most? Curious to hear, like, if you have any answer, just pick one factor and say it in the chat. What are the factors that you think impact a brand visibility or the lack of on AI search and LLMs? SEO, that's a big factor. Don't give me SEO. Come on, guys. SEO is a lot. Give me one factor. Brand, structured data, content, mentions, Reddit, citations, searchable content. This is great. I love that. I love that because it just tells you where we're at as sort of as an industry at large, and sort of we need to like this is we haven't reached consensus yet. All right, backlinks, LLM text file, domain authority. Great. So we have actually another study for you here. We crunched 2.2 million prompts, associated responses. Every prompt obviously have citation sources. We also take that and index it and analyze it. So, and these prompts are navigational, commercial, sort of like transactional. Across, and I think we have a study you can check out on the website. You can download the PDF, but really like it's we call the AEO periodic tables factors impacting AI search visibility. To really like get a sense of sort of what are the exact factors that drive visibility or the lack of here. And you can see here the factors on the right side and the model that were covered on the left side. You can also see sort of the impact variables, and we want it to be as defined these as closely as possible. And you can see the exact definition on the study itself, because I know that this is sort of in terms of like how do you even collect data around content relevance and credibility and trust. You can check that out in the study, but you can see here those who said SEO, obviously like SEO is a lot of things, and AEO is just building on top of SEO. But breaking things into like specific variables, I don't know what I did here. Let me get back. Breaking things into specific variables, I think is very important. Starting obviously with the usual suspect: content quality, depth, credibility, and trust. Citations I mentioned, you can see here by model, topical authority, content freshness, consistency, and co-occurrence. This is one that is climbing high quite rapidly. Agent experience, LLM text file, robots text file, technical performance, UX, sort of like web vitals, ability to retrieve content from your website and load it fast using JavaScript and server-side rendering, all that. Reviews and UGC. This is the Reddits and everything in between. Localization, verifiable performance metrics, sentiment, SERP ranking, social signals. This is V3, by the way, of our AEO periodic table. We released a bunch before. This is our the third version. We will be actually next week we'll be publishing the report, but you can see here the scores, and you can see the total scores and the ranking of these variables. I'm very interested in content freshness and co-occurrence jumping up quite a bit here. And I think we've seen other reports from other platforms as well showing that content freshness is quite important and quite impactful. More impactful for some models more than others. Agent experience as well. For some models, it doesn't matter as much. For others, it matters more. We've seen, this is a big discussion that has been had lately around LLM text files. Is it actually used or not used? There is a talk, but for the chief product officer at OpenAI talking about it at a YC event more recently, and he mentioned the use of LLM text file, but we just don't have any data to confirm the impact here. We have some experiments around it, and we should have some data soon, whether it's actually a massive lever, but definitely robots text file matters here. If you're actually allow or disallow, and the edits that you do on the robots text file matters quite a bit. The same thing for the citation dimensions. It's quite high, which is obvious here. I think I've seen a lot of people say citation dimension. Content relevance, it's obvious one. If you're actually talking, content remains king. If you need to publish shareable, read-worthy and relevant content, and that sort of remains consistent, because why the model would be pulling your content if it's not even doesn't have the sort of the core fundamentals. So those remains the fundamentals that runs all of this. The variability by models, we can spend quite a bit of time on it, but I really find things like reviews and UGCs, sort of like Grok is indexing on it quite a bit. For example, you can see 676. It's actually Grok is not only trained by X's data, but also at the same time, Cites actually has a citation. I don't know if you can see it in the UI, but it's being pulled in the API. You can see the citations for some of the tweets that are being pulled, that it's pulling from. So very interesting, the reliance on that. So next here is how to optimize for Google's AI mode and AI overview. So since we talked about how Google AI search is really the dominant player, so how do you even optimize for Google's AI mode and AI overview? What are the variables that we should think about? And it's not just about ranking, it's obviously being cited then in AI responses. So let's not state the obvious and sort of jump straight into what does that even mean for us. So for AI overview, you get these citations on the right. They're largely the ones that are defining the answer. So in this case, we ask what are the best growth marketing agencies. You can see there's a company here ranking for this. This is not meant as a flex. It's maybe a subtle one. But what I'm trying to say here is we have sources on the right here that we should just simply optimize for. And you're not who you think you are what the internet says about you. So your entity presence in other sources really matters. And that's simply what is being pulled here. I think AI overviews just looks at essentially like a bunch of sources that are relevant for the query that you put, and it's pulling data and synthesizing and personalizing this data for you. Whereas AI mode is a little bit more complex. So AI mode is actually you can see it's actually breaks searches into multiple searches. It's used query fan out, and you can see it in action. Essentially kicking off, you can see here if you ask about what are the best GEO tools, it's kicking off 6 searches, looking at 103 different websites. So how can we even possibly optimize for 103 different websites where it's pulling all of these answers? So it's reviewing data from these websites and synthesizing this data using Gemini 2.5 and bringing this all back to you personalized for the query that you put out. So this is how AI mode works. And when you can see here, if you're using AI mode, sort of the number of websites, you can see it also on the right side, but just the experience is different. And it's obviously Gemini sort of fine-tuned for search use case, but also the pipeline is different from AI overview and sort of vanilla Gemini or using the Gemini app. I think AI mode is more likely to get more and more embedded into the larger search experience. There was a tweet the other day that was one of the tweets that I was trying to find. I just can't find the screenshot of the VP of search product at Google on Twitter, literally like last week, saying that people are asking about AI mode and said it soon is going to be sort of like potentially replace AI overview. So I think the focus on AI mode is important, which is why I'm giving it sort of prominent room for in the lesson here. So in average, AI mode reference 2x numbers of sources that of AI overview. So how do you even dominate AI mode? What are the factors that goes into optimizing for AI mode. And you can see here, AI mode is just like, you know, every other models, it values good content. So good writing worthy content, you know, helpful experience, expertise, authoritativeness, trustworthiness, good old SEO, good old content. So that's the foundation for everything. So as I'm building this pyramid, you're going to see other sources. Then we have technical SEO, the web vitals, site speed, canonicals, redirects, indexation. You just need also good old SEO, still matters. And then you have technical AEO, if we can even call it that. So technical AEO is the agent experience, agent crawlability, rendering, structured data, LLM text file, robots text file, how machine friendly your website really is. And on top of that, you have sentiment and UGC and social signals, how users talk about you on forums like Reddit and YouTube's and others that it's being pulled from based on the AEO periodic table that I referenced. It's actually, we're covering AI mode in the latest release. And then we have citations and mentions across owned and earned domain, and co-occurrence at the top, consistency and references across multiple sources. So if you say you are X on your website, but everyone else says you're Y, I think you're less likely to being pulled up. I think the consistency and co-occurrence here really matters in actually giving AI mode and Gemini in this case the trust and validation that you deserve to be referenced in that sense, because we across all of these sources, all of these also trusted sources, you consistently showed up as a leading players, which is what back to sort of like the entity dominance and making sure that you're navigate this in an interesting way. We'll share this with you after all, and you can see here sort of the path to AI mode visibility comes down to, you know, essentially you can see on the right side. I'm just gonna need to hide your beautiful faces so I can actually read my screen. You can see here all the way at the bottom, that's you and what you write about, and then you have how models, agents index and evaluate and crawl your site, and then at the top, what the internet says about you. And that's sort of your path to AI mode visibility. We've done this for many leading brands, and we have a ton of prompts that you guys can sort of like, you know, check how AI mode actually work through it. And we have a bunch of experiments that also validated sort of like the pyramids that we have here. So SEO is still relevant, and I think I started with the sort of the H.E.E.T framework. You need to create quality, sort of read-worthy content, and not just content for the algorithm. Content that has a unique point of view, clear expertise, and not just a bunch of sort of stuff that can feed a model too. Because I think we as SEOs like get into that sort of gaming mindset. I think that changes. If there's anything that you're going to write that you feel like most people are asking ChatGPT, like how to do SEO or how to optimize for, you know, my images, or think like generic content that actually don't really matter for the model, or don't really matter in terms of, also in terms of conversions and in terms of impact on your brands, I think you're better off like saving your time and creating high quality content, studies, things that have points of views, things that are unique to your brands, and data points that are created and generated through your product that can actually be consistently referenced and drive this authority, trustworthiness, and show clear expertise. And obviously, like there's also like the listicle play, there's the guides play, but you want to make sure that you're anchoring yourself in this trust, expertise, and authoritativeness, and offering obviously helpful content truly to end user that also offer a great experience. This both impacts your brand, but also as the models get smarter and better, I think that's likely the better way of doing AEO. So how do we do AEO? Let's summarize. We have the owned visibility, we have the earned visibility, technical optimization, and AI search intelligence. So these are the pillars of AEO, SEO on our end. I called it GEO here because, you know, for those who like it, you got your GEO right here. So these are the core pillars. You got owned visibility, be the citation, be the source. You got earned visibility, LLM seeding, and influence, and just making sure that you're, you know, whether digital PR 2.0, creators, UGC seeding, affiliate syndication, all of that. Technical optimization, we talked about it and give the structure from the sort of, are you machine friendly, schema markup, speed, and accessibility. All of this good old SEO stuff. There are a lot of tools out there. Our tool itself obviously does support that, but I think sort of, you know, SEO experts here know how to do that. But I think the AEO technical part is also, it's an area that I feel like we will offer some value on later, and we've written quite a bit on. And I think it's not really that big. It's just a matter of really figuring out how your website is being read and understood by these machines. And always the best way to do it is just to actually go and chatting with these machines and see how your website being pulled versus competition in a specific prompt, but also more importantly, trying to get data on how your website being crawled. And that's something that our platform offers as well. So AI search intelligence is just like the loop. How do you even optimize for all of this? Given that you're no longer who you are on the web, you are what these models and the larger internet thinks about you, and that's what is being presented to end users. So how do you even know? How do I even know which chunks of data or corpus of data are influencing my brands the most? Which retrieval sources and domains are impacting this? You need some type of toolings. That's why we built what we built. So for AEO content strategy, you need to identify the priority topics or prompts. I like to use topics because I think a lot of the time, as you can see in query fan out, most of these models break things into topics. You conduct brand audits, understand sort of how you show up in terms of visibility, sentiment, competition, share of voice, all of that, which is there's quite a bit of tools out there. Our tool does this as well. Identify the training and rack sources, create AEO content strategy. What are the tracks that you're doing on own sources, or earned sources, and even social, and then monitor and drive attribution. Is this actually meaningful? And is this driving impact for my brand? Or is this just sort of novel new things that is hard to track? And I think we've built technology that allows actually to track this truly end to end to get a sense of, is this really moving the needle on active user or revenue or any of the true North Star metric that matters for organic growth here. So for AEO content best practices, we got some best practices here. I'll share with you later. I'm realizing that I'm already a few minutes over time, so I'm going to rush through some of these slides. Important content. A lot of this is sort of like the basic stuff that we've covered already, but important one is semantic chunking, which is essentially breaking information into a concrete concept that are easily digestible by models. The model doesn't have to read a ton of, paragraphs to like actually arrive at a single sort of point here. I think, you can see on the left side content, you can see on the right side how information needs to just be broken down. I think that's very, very important concept, and it just makes it easier and rewards the model accordingly, and just you're giving the model the information that it needs right away. Even as you can see, sort of the model also provides you the information a lot of the time that way. Some content writers and some of the AI generated content is actually can look like what you see here on the left if it's not really optimized for AEO or SEO. Now I have some really interesting data points around what are the most influential sources. And I'm sorry, I'm going a little bit more over time here. I got 5 more minutes and then I'm going to wrap up. But I thought these are some important data points for you all. What are the most influential sources and domains across AI search today? We can break that down by industry, but we have that across industries based on 5.7 million citations analyzed over the past 6 months. You can see here AI citation performance. First of all, ChatGPT, AI Mode, Gemini, AI Overview. What is the average number of citation per model? You can see ChatGPT is leading, followed by AI Mode, Gemini, AI Overview, Perplexity. You can see also the most cited domains. This is the top 20. You can see usual suspect, Wikipedia, Reddit, Reuters, YouTube, Forbes, LinkedIn, Amazon, AP News. It's a combination of, I think social is very present here. You can see social. Social is becoming rapidly the new RAG, but also like news publications. This is obviously a diverse set of prompts that drive this. So a lot of the time, sort of what is and what happened, and any prompts that are like, it's likely like need some trusted sources of source. It's either going to be Wikipedia. We've seen the Reuters and the Forbes and a lot of like these publishers tend to show up for these prompts. Things of what do you like evaluation sentiment related tends to pull the UGC side of things, which is reasonable. That's natural behavior here. In terms of like consumer finance, for example, we're seeing NerdWallet, CNBC, Forbes. Reddit is not actually the leading one here. So the more like sort of you break this down by industry, you start seeing the variability here. Sort of niche publishers that are focused on answering very specific information. The good old SEO way continue to win here. Same thing goes for B2B SaaS. Reddit is actually dominating on this one. But then you have PC Mag, G2, Forbes, Capterra, and so on. Wikipedia just dropped to the bottom. And again, this is based on quite a bit of data. And as we continue to sort of update this search, especially as the model behavior changes, well, I think this will be a little bit more stable. But for now, this is the data and what is actively happening in the B2B SaaS space. For beauty and personal care, you got Reddit, Sephora. Actually, Sephora is leading here because Sephora has a massive community as well. So it's not just with the product details page or the category pages that they have or the massive SQs that they have. It's just also a lot of it is the community that Sephora actually has here. I think I saw that with Sephora and I saw that with Tesla community as well. Two brands that have very vibrant communities. So which store does AI search trust the most? This is another way. It's people are not just, the competition is not just on traditional shelf for retailers, it's also for AI search shelf in that sense. So what are the sources that AI search shopping, in this case, ChatGPT and Rofus and others? Rofus pulls from Amazon, so that one is obvious, but for ChatGPT, Perplexity, and AI Mode, which stores are being cited the most? And for beauty and personal care, this is also another one to look at. You can see Sephora because of the community, it's the number one, but also you got Amazon, Ultra, Walmart. This information really, really matters, and breaking this information down by industry truly matters to sort of decision makers, especially as they navigate these partnerships, but also think just beyond AEO. I have how do you make your site AI friendly? I'm going to rush through it, and then I have some slides for you towards the end. Obviously, crawlers and bots are the first-class citizens of the internet. 50% of the internet traffic are crawlers and bots today. There are two types. There's trading model bots, and then there's retrieval. Some that are used to grab data and train feed these models and train them on. And then there's retrieval, real time, pull some data from different websites to answer a specific question real time. So you want to make sure that the challenges obviously is you want to make sure that you're not blocking them, you're not using any non-machine friendly code, like doing a lot of fancy JavaScript stuff on the website, the front end side of things. Many AI bots have also timeouts, so web vitals matter, but also speed matter. And I think that's sort of like covered on the left here. But how to tackle, obviously, prioritize server-side rendering for critical content, optimize for speed, and tackle web vitals, and sort of speed and UX, in my opinion, go hand in hand, but also schema markup for AI bots. There are a lot of tools that can help you with that. And it's actually within Goody, we can tell you the exact schema markup that is being missed by page. So the exact page, and what is the schema markup that is missing on this page, and how to add it, so you can copy paste and add it yourself. Because I know a lot of SEOs we've seen based on user feedback, that's an area that a lot of people struggle with. And obviously ensure correct redirect, site architecture, and all of that, because it's crawling your website just like Google does. Crawlability hygiene, I think it's sort of like review the robots text file, the LLM text file, and all of the things that I mentioned. I'm going to rush through this. So how AEO performance is measured, I think we have some case studies. I'm going to rush through them. I think obviously, I think visibility monitoring really matters. We need to do it at scale. I think in the case here for SteelSeries, we have more than 40,000 source analyzed, and 200 something mention counts, and actually over 100,000 prompts. And you can see here that we know based on all of this data that they're ranking. And one challenge with measurement here is that memory is shallow. Obviously, alignment is a problem. Memory, alignment, faithfulness. So you want to make sure that if you ask an LLM a question and I ask a question, we get two entirely different answers, because memory is different, alignment is different, which is why you need some tooling around how you do that. It's also probabilistic, which is why we're using the measures that we do. And then shameless plug, how we do it on Goody. We monitor all of the services. We provide you with insight. We help you take action and attribute to what matters in your business. Sort of this way, you have an end-to-end AEO platform to own this sort of newly created digital shelf. Happy to answer any questions. We do have a full course on it. I promise I will not be selling you anything on this course. And this is a course, we price it very reasonably. We actually dropped the price, but you're welcome to sign up. We're going to share a lot of the exact templates and how you actually do it, and the executional components that you need here. But if you also have any questions, happy to answer on a friendly basis. And hopefully this was helpful, valuable, and we'll be publishing it and sharing with you afterwards. Thank you all for tuning in.